Well, we can speak now to a researcher for the global think tank Carnegie Europe, Marc Pierini. Mr. Pierini, thanks so much for your time. Can I start by asking you, on the back of that target on Tel Aviv, what do you read into that? Was it a warning shot, or was it, something that could escalate things immediately much further?
Well, we have seen an escalation in the past 12 months since the Hamas attack on October 7 last year. And it has involved Hamas first, Hezbollah, Iran, the Houthis, so a lot of different actors. The escalation today, and especially these missiles sent over Tel Aviv, is of course a signal that not only Hezbollah has tens of thousands of small rockets that they can lob over the northern border of Israel, but they have much more powerful missiles, and this one single missile sent to Tel Aviv is indeed a signal. The issue, as I see it, is that at the moment, Israel has a sort of opportunity, politically speaking, because most of the actors on the international scene, those governments speaking at the UN General Assembly since yesterday, all of them, or all the major ones, are either because of their political agenda, or they are waiting on the side. As we know, the US will have a presidential election in a few weeks. It will take 3 months until the new president, whoever he or she is, will be in office. So, of course, Joe Biden's speech was a call for moderation, a call for peace, but it is the call from an outgoing president. If you look at the European Union and the member states, well, you have an institutional reshuffle right now in the European Parliament, in the European Council, the new president, in the European Commission being formed. None of these people are fully in charge right now. It will take another month or two, according to the procedures. So the EU voice in the Middle East has been traditionally rather weak, but it is still weaker today because of this reshuffle. Then the big Arab powers, Egypt to start with, which has a peace agreement with Israel. Jordan has a peace agreement. Saudi Arabia is very careful. So not much is coming from this side. Yesterday, the Turkish president spoke at the General Assembly. Initially, on October 7, in the immediate aftermath, he had an intention to be a moderator between Israel and Hamas, or Israel and the Arab world. But since he has taken position in very strong terms against Israel, so he has, in a way, self-marginalized his voice. And also, of course, as we know, the Western world has a major preoccupation with Russia. So all of these factors taken together give a sort of feeling of impotence in the UN General Assembly. And therefore, in the immediate future, in the coming weeks, we can see a further escalation. That is the problem at the moment.
And how far do you think Israel might go? We've seen what's happened and what is happening in Gaza. Could we be facing something similar in Lebanon?
Well, it has happened before, as we know, not with much success. In one case, it lasted very few days. In another case, several months. It is an option, militarily speaking. It's not clear at all that it would serve Israel's political objectives. But, you have domestic politics playing here in Israel in two different ways. One, October 7 was, of course, a very deep shock, not just to the government or the authorities in Israel, but to the entire population because of the horrific way in which it was conducted. So you have a sort of feeling of life of the country is at stake. That's one thing. And then you have the Netanyahu factor. who is fighting for his own political survival. So the combination of these two factors produce a situation where Israel could be tempted to do things they haven't done before. And we have seen that in the past few days. The technological superiority of Israel is there. The Pages is a horrific innovation, but it has had a spectacular effect. It's not clear that technological innovations or a military intervention in the south are a decisive factor. Hezbollah is going to resist, and Iran is going to support Hezbollah as much as they can, with the limitation that if Iran wants to play a wider role in the region, they have an interest in playing for moderation.
Tell me a bit more about Iran's position. I mean, it has shown restraint in the last year. Even, the leader of Hamas being killed in Iran, it said it kept holding off because it wanted to see movement towards a ceasefire for Gaza. How do you think, how long might it wait watching the situation in Lebanon before we see more influence, direct influence from Iran and from other countries in the region?
Well, you obviously have two ways to look at Iran. If you look at Iran from Israel, they would only tell you that this is a country which has a policy of throwing the Jews into the sea, and therefore they will resist by all means. If you look at the issue from Tehran, they have this official position, of course, but they've been trying in different ways to become a bigger actor in the region. For years, they have made an effort to come to an agreement with Western countries on the nuclear issue. This has collapsed. They are still in political conversations with the West. You have reported on the meeting between the new Iranian president and the French president. We know that below the radar, interlocutors, security services are talking. Even when Iran attacked Israel with missiles and drones a few months ago, there was some sort of restraint. It was a major escalation in itself, but it was a controlled escalation. That's what we have now. Iran is playing a very difficult game because in the middle of all this, they also have their own internal dissent movement, which is powerful, which is not suppressed entirely. So they have to take this into account, and they want to play a bigger role in the region.
Okay.
The hope in the Western world is that it will lead them to moderation.
Okay, Marc Pierini of Carnegie Europe, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.